Walk into any city on the planet, and eventually you will find a room that erupts in unison, a massive, collective surge of emotion triggered by a ball crossing a line. But inside those same cities is a demographic that remains entirely unmoved. They see the same scores and the same rivalries, yet they experience no internal shift at all. Because sports function as a default social currency, those who don't participate often face a specific kind of judgment. There is an underlying assumption that a lack of team loyalty equates to a lack of social warmth or passion. Modern psychology suggests a different explanation. This disconnect is rarely about being antisocial. It is the result of a distinct psychological framework that simply values different types of engagement. Choosing to bypass the world's most popular form of entertainment indicates that a person's mind is tuned to find meaning in a different set of inputs. The difference begins with how the brain reacts to a live, high-stakes game. Research into reward sensitivity shows some brains process match chaos as a high-value emotional reward. But for others, that unpredictability doesn't trigger a dopamine spike. It registers as noise the brain filters out. This also influences how people regulate their emotions. Fandom requires a willingness to submit to a roller coaster of highs and lows that are entirely out of your control. Some individuals have a psychological profile that finds this manufactured volatility draining rather than enjoyable. These people often find more satisfaction in activities where the rewards are stable and generated through their own internal efforts. This neurobiology prioritizes the calm of predictable stability over the sharp, artificial spikes of stadium drama. Beyond biology, there is the factor of community. Social identity theory explains that many people use sports teams to satisfy a deep-seated need for tribal belonging. Those who don't follow sports still seek out that sense of community, but they tend to build it around shared ideas, creative projects, or intellectual pursuits instead of athletic affiliation. This often starts in childhood. If the early environment didn't value sports, the brain never forms the neural associations required to feel an emotional stake in a game as an adult. There is also a link to how different minds solve problems. While sports involve complex strategy, certain people perceive the underlying structures as repetitive. People with a cognitive preference for abstract thinking often move away from rigid field rules toward open-ended systems like philosophy, art, or science. Psychology shows that ignoring a major social interest like sports is frequently tied to the trait of independent thinking. It reflects a tendency to evaluate social norms on their own merits, rather than adopting them simply because they are widely accepted. Dismissing the big game is often a way for the mind to preserve its energy for independent identity building and abstract problem solving. When we look at the biological and cognitive data together, the idea that these people lack passion disappears. The capacity for excitement and social connection is still there, it is just being directed elsewhere. That mental energy typically flows into music, technology, business, or other arenas that provide the specific stimulation their minds require. Human behavior is a product of this intersection between personality, environment, and cognitive preference. Sports are an effective and powerful way to engage with the world, but they represent only one possible path. Those who bypass the stadium are often finding equal fulfillment on a different, more personal path that better suits how they are wired.